Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Random Conversations. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Noel.
And we're here to get some topics out. We're going to get down and dirty today because the list is going to be a little bit spicy because I know my opinions are going to differ from his and we might butt heads. And you guys, especially on TikTok, we really appreciate the comments that you've been leaving under our little reels and engaging with us. It really means a lot and it shows your support and we appreciate it. So, this week, how was your week so far?
Sure, my week has been good. I mean, scouring through social media, there was a lot of interesting things that I've come across. So much things happened this week. The three topics that we have today are just, they had to fight to make it to this episode.
Yeah.
And there was so much that happened this week that, I'm surprised that these are the ones that made it. I'm really excited about the NBA. And, the Knicks ain't doing too well. They on a slide, but, I'm always excited when it comes to the playoffs and when basketball becomes serious because, during the regular season, entertaining games are few and far between sometimes.
I think the playoffs are going to start the following week after this.
Yeah, 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, no, because I think it's going to start next week sometime. So
we got to make our early picks.
Early picks for what?
For NBA champion.
For the NBA champion? I thought you were going to be who comes out of the wild card.
The wild card. NBA don't got wild card.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. What are you talking about?
They have they have.
They got the first round, the second round.
They have the play-in. That's what it is. The play-in.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't pay attention to the damn play-in.
If your team is 7, 8, 9, and 10, you're gonna pay attention to it.
Ain't none of those teams making it to the NBA finals anyway. So it's just a waste of time.
You never know. The Miami Heat, I don't know if they were doing play-ins at that time when they were the 8th seed and they snuck in, they went to the NBA final.
Yeah. I mean, that's few and far between. I mean, and none of those teams look like they got a chance. You know what I'm saying? The Miami Heat, they were talented. It just took them a little while to click. But
I hate when that happens.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what's going to happen with the Knicks.
I mean, the Knicks were good and then they were crap. So, I don't know.
Maybe they'll be good again.
I don't know. Mike Brown about to lose his job.
Yeah, I don't know if they're rumors, but they were saying that how they're not really pleased. Well, the Knicks front office is not really pleased of the job that he's doing because the whole thing was defense. I don't really know why they got rid of Tom Thibodeau in the first place.
Because he ran his players into the ground.
Yeah, but he made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, but you don't play for the Eastern Conference Finals.
We know that, but if they gave him one more year, I think they could have made it to the finals because his thing is defense, and this team is not really about defense.
Right. Well, they sacrificed some of their defense for the sake of their offense because they had a lot of defense last year, but they didn't have enough offense to make it over the hump. And not only that, he wasn't utilizing the entire roster. You paying these guys millions of dollars, you can go 8 to 10 deep. You know what I'm saying? Instead of running your 6 top players into the ground. You're not gonna make it to the finals. Your players gonna be too exhausted, and even if you do make it to the finals, there's no way you're gonna win. Your team is beat up.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. The way it's looking, it looks like Boston's gonna come out of the East.
I told you that already.
The way it's looking now that Tatum's back and they're all clicking. You know what I noticed with Boston? I don't want to get too NBA heavy. But I noticed with Boston that all you really need on that team is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. It doesn't even matter who the supporting cast is because they had a totally different supporting cast and they still won. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Now they have a totally different supporting cast now and they're still winning. I can't even tell you who's on that team besides those two.
Peyton Pritchard.
But I know a lot of people left. I know Drew Holiday left.
Yeah, Drew Holiday left, but they had Derek White.
Porzingis
left, yeah.
That dude,
Porzingis wasn't really a big part of that championship
run. Al Horford
remember,
left.
He was hurt for a long time. Al Horford was more for veteran leadership. He wasn't they weren't dependent on him to drop 15 and 10 night in and night out. He was just a solid vet who kind of kept people on task and stuff like that. He was a good locker room guy.
I don't know why he just left and went to Golden State
because
anyway.
For money. He's on the back end of his career. He got to make as much money as he can before he's on his way out.
What do you think older players value more, the money or the championships?
He has a championship, so at that point in time, he value the money.
But I feel like a lot of them value even if they have a championship, some of them value the championships more than the money.
It depends on the player that you are. Are you a vet that's seen as a locker room guy? Are you a starter? Are you a superstar? Now, superstars, legacy is everything, and championships equals legacy, right? So it's way more important to them. Like a player like LeBron, he's not gonna want to go to a team like the Washington Wizards and collect like $50 million a year because those dummies will pay him that. But he'd rather be on a team and compete, right? Because he's worried about he's concerned about his legacy. Now a player like Al Horford, he's like, yeah, I had a great career. I won a championship. Nobody's worried about Al Horford's ranking all time, and neither is he. He's like, I'm a winner at life. I got a championship. I got millions of dollars. I need to make sure that my family's secure for years to come. Who knows how he spent his money?
That's true.
You see how,
I guess.
You see KG, a lot of these players, especially for the first couple of years of their NBA careers, they end up blowing a lot of that money.
Because they don't know what to do with it.
Right, they don't know what to do with it. They trust the wrong people, all of that. So, you don't know Al Horford's situation. He might need to make a couple of extra $1 million towards the end of the career.
You might be right, but I look at the Chris Pauls, the Jimmy Butlers.
Chris Paul needed a championship.
The Carmelo Anthonys.
He needed a championship.
All of them that needed a championship. That's where I go off to, and they seem to be doing well with their money. And I'm pretty sure Chris Paul is probably going to do some side ventures, or maybe he'll end up coaching. I could see him as a coach in the NBA. But enough about the NBA. That wasn't even on the topic list. You see, random conversations. You just start talking about one thing, and then it spirals into something else, right? We're not even on the path that we're supposed to be on, 10 minutes in. There's a Ugandan general that states that men should be arrested if caught kneeling to propose to a woman.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Oh, so you agree that this is craziness?
It's craziness.
Do you differ? Do you have any differing opinions about what he said?
Yeah, for sure. Me, I'm very I can be traditional in a sense towards certain things, and a little bit new age about other things. I'm very much in the middle. I don't think that something as kneeling to propose to a woman is taboo and should not be done by a masculine man. I feel like when you're asking a woman to marry you, you're supposed to be making yourself vulnerable to that woman. It's a show. It's an act of giving yourself up and letting her know that you feel comfortable being vulnerable in her presence. All right. And that's the whole part of it. Yeah, it might feel uncomfortable and uneasy because you might think 99.9% that she's going to say yes, but you never know until the word comes out of her mouth, right? So yeah, you might be sitting there just sweating bullets and shitting bricks, but that's all part of it. You can't shy away from it because you're vulnerable, and if you can't be vulnerable in front of your woman, then you shouldn't be marrying her. I seen that a lot of new age men, they'll just stand up and
really you've seen that?
I've seen that
and propose
and not even propose, telling them we're getting married and stuff like that. It's the act of asking a woman is beneath them. It's some sort of
they feel like they're emasculating themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Because they feel like there's power
shift.
Yeah, when you're kneeling in front of a woman. And certain men don't like to relinquish the power, right? They feel like the women is the beta and they're the alpha at all times. And no alpha should kneel before a beta to ask them to marry them, right? They feel like, oh, this is a privilege. You're going to get married to me. Why do I have to kneel and ask you to get married to me? I just feel like it's very immature. It's a very immature mind state, and they're very insecure. Men think like that. That's insecurity. Because what makes you feel inferior by kneeling and proposing to a woman? Don't you feel stupid? Like, you cherish this woman. This is the woman you're gonna make your wife. This is the woman you're gonna protect and do everything for, and you feel inferior because you're kneeling in front of her asking her to marry you. It's bullshit.
Yeah, a man who's afraid to kneel in front of a woman to propose shouldn't be getting married, and that woman should be running for the hills.
Yeah.
because
Because you go. That's the sign already.
that's a red flag. That he don't really take you serious. He's not taking your input seriously. He just wants you to sit there and shut up and look pretty.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of men out there who are afraid to be vulnerable with their woman. They're afraid. They believe that once you show that vulnerability, once you let them inside, that they'll turn it around on you and use it against you. And yeah, there's a possibility that can happen, right? But there's also a possibility that it wouldn't happen. You put trust in another person. That's part of being in a relationship. That's part of being in a marriage. A successful marriage is about trusting each other, unburdening yourselves to each other, right? That's supposed to be a confidant, And if you don't feel comfortable with that woman, enough to be vulnerable and to trust her implicitly, right? What's the point? You know what I'm saying? It don't make any sense.
No, it don't.
Yeah, you should be able to tell her any and everything and be a complete self to her. When everybody else, you want to be hard, you want to, you show them a certain side of you, she should be able to see all sides of you and accept you for who you are.
And if I think this is a proposal, this is not gonna go into legislation.
That's his opinion.
I know, but say if it was, there's gonna be a lot of single people. I will hope there will be a lot of people who are not married in Uganda, because no woman should have to deal with that.
I don't know if they're gonna leave Uganda just to get proposed to.
I'm not saying they're gonna leave Uganda, but they're gonna be like, if you're not kneeling in front of me asking you to marry me, I'm not marrying you. Because what type of bullshit is that? Imagine you standing there and the man's in your face like, do you want to marry me? Well, just open it in the box in front of your face. Like, what? I'm like, yo, get that out of here. Get that out of here. But I'm shocked. I didn't know that we would agree on this one.
Nah, I mean, I feel like that's some silly.
Because a lot of toxic men are gonna say, "Oh yeah, we shouldn't be kneeling in front of a woman."
That's fine. Hey, look, do what you want to do, but if you asking this man's opinion, I'm not in agreement with that. I think that, being vulnerable to your woman is important, and you should be comfortable in that. There's such a joy in being able to be vulnerable with somebody, because the world doesn't allow a man to be vulnerable. You have to show them that you're strong, show them that, you're not going to wilt in the face of adversity and all that stuff, but you can't be strong all the time. And it's nice to have somebody at home that when you behind closed doors, you can be your complete self and express your worries and your fears and all of that stuff.
And she won't judge you for it.
Right. And she won't judge you for it, and as a man, when you're choosing a woman, you need to make sure that that's the type of woman that you have, because that is invaluable, to be able to be yourself with somebody, your complete self.
Yeah, you can wear your fuzzy socks.
Yeah, do whatever the hell you want to do.
And your pajamas with the little tail sticking out in the back with the ears.
What's that NFL player, Travis Hunter?
Oh yeah.
He used to do the live streams with the freaking with the animal onesie and stuff.
He's a kid.
He's a kid, but you think he's gonna outgrow that? That's just him. That's what he likes. He's a little nerdy, quirky, but his girl accepts him for what he is.
It's so weird because I don't know, like in a stage in my life, I was like, do men even have feelings?
Right. I mean, because we spend so much time trying to keep them inside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not really gonna see a man really express the full range of his emotions and feelings outside, but inside, when you're home, and when you're in the privacy of your own home with your lady, you should be able to express yourself, freely.
Express yourself.
All right. It's freeing. It's freeing.
Next. So there's another topic that we want to get into. So I believe the singer Ari Lennox was on a podcast, and then she mentioned how the more successful she became in her career, the harder it became to find a man or a decent man that, would take care of her will be the man in the relationship, right? And she prefaced that by saying, certain men can't take the fact that I'm successful and they feel like they're inferior to her because of the success she's had in her career. I don't know if she's not finding anybody on the same level as her, or I don't know what type of men she's finding, right? But it boils down to, and it's not just her that faces this. This is a few successful women, like the ones who are like boss bitches and all of that, that are having trouble finding. I'm not saying all of them do, because some of them have happy families with husbands and all of that, that are having trouble finding men because they make X amount of money, because they have X amount of popularity and followers and all of that good stuff. So as a man, how do you feel about the comments she made?
I mean, I totally understand it, because as a man, society tells you that you're supposed to provide. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And especially with social media, so there's certain personalities out there that a lot of young men gravitate to, mm-hmm. and they try to tell them how to be a man and what they should do, you know? And when you align yourself with a woman who makes more money than you, it might be a big ego hit to the man who's with her.
But it's like, that this is most likely going to be an issue later on down the line. Why are you pursuing?
Well,
if you already know that this woman is probably out of your range, or out of your range, or out of your league, I should say, why do you feel like you should still have to pursue? Is it the chase? Is it to say, oh, I got her, but I know I'm not that good for her?
Well, see that now that's a step too far, saying that you're not that good for her. Just because you don't make the same amount of money, just because you're not in the same tax bracket, does not mean that you're not good enough for her. Because she saw something in you that allowed you to date her, allowed you to become exclusive with her, allowed you to marry her. She saw something in you outside of the amount of money that you make that made you, in her eyes, worthy. Right? Now, some men, they assess themselves based on how much money they make, how much assets they own. That is the gauge in which they measure their success, right? So to be with a woman that completely outshines you in the financial arena is a big blow to some men. It's hard because, like I said, you're raised with the idea that men are providers. We don't look to women to take care of us. Right. So when we don't look to women to take care of us, so we don't know how to react in that type of situation. We want to provide things for you, but then in the back of our minds, we're like, but you could provide it for yourself. So what am I actually doing for you? We don't realize all the other ways that we could be there for you that makes sense. And it's an ego thing. It's we're looking at ourselves and we're being hypercritical of ourselves in those type of situations.
Yeah, but certain men can't handle it, right?
No, some certain men can't handle it. Certain men can. Like, look at Stepman and Oprah.
Yeah, I get so I should let me rephrase what I said. Well, I think I did say some men when I was saying how they still pursue. And once they actually get into that woman's life, they realize like, well, damn, maybe, this might be too much for me because she's way too independent. She could do everything for herself. It's like, what's the point of me being here? Right. And like you said, it's innate in men to be the providers, to do X amount of things for the woman that they're with. So it's like, if you knew, like once you get in and you find it overwhelming, you should just get out. You should just get out because it will save yourself time to find somebody that you can be that type of man for. And it's also going to leave her to find someone else that she could be, I guess, intertwined with and have that man provide for her because he might be on a whole nother type of level. You follow what I'm saying? So it's like, why do men who know, like, all right, it's like that thing, like you try to catch that star or whatever, and you finally catch it and you're like looking at it and you're like, damn, maybe I shouldn't have this. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's programming that we're fighting. This is a problem for my generation, my generation in the past. I feel like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're growing up in a world where women make a lot of money now, you know, just as much as men. So you're going to run into a lot of situations where women make more money than you, make more money than men. And they're going to be comfortable in it because it's the norm, you know. Times in the past, that wasn't the norm, you know. So, you know, it's as hard as
You
difficult.
think that's why they're trying to keep the wage gap between the genders far apart?
Well, I think they're trying to.
You think there's like a deeper meaning to that?
Well, don't get me started on the wage gap, because like it's something that
There's something behind it.
but you don't really. Have you seen the wage gap yourself?
I know it was wide. Like men still make more than
right.
women.
This is what is reported and whatnot, right? But in your life, in your personal observable universe, do you observe a wage gap?
No.
Okay. And me personally, I've never observed a wage gap. You know, I worked a plethora of jobs leading up to the job that I have now, and you know, the men and women make the same amount of money based off of the positions that they work, right? Do I think that there should be a wage gap? Not across the board, but with certain jobs, the most definitely. Because, like, say construction, for instance, right? You know, you'll have a man doing a heavy duty job, like handling the jackhammer and stuff like that, but you won't. I've never seen a woman handle the jackhammer, right? You know what I'm saying? Like things like that, where it takes a certain amount of physical strength, then the man should make more because he's doing all the things that the job entails, where the woman is doing maybe like 85% of it. So why should you, as a woman doing 85% of the job, get 100% of the pay? And then the man is doing 100% of the job and getting 100% of the pay. 100% of the pay. I had an issue where this guy was complaining because in the department that he worked in, he felt that certain tasks were gendered. Like men took out the trash. Men, you know, did anything that was considered heavy lifting. Men did, but in the job description, that title, you are required to lift a certain amount and do a certain and do certain tasks, right? So he was voicing his displeasure with the fact that you have women not doing certain jobs, but men are doing all the jobs, right? So I see that, and I'm like, you know, in certain job titles and stuff like that, if you're gonna ask women to do only 85% of the tasks, but men to do 100% of the tasks, then I believe that a man should make a little bit more. But say in a job where you're both lawyers, you should make the same amount of money.
So in certain jobs,
like,
so
like,
you're saying...
Yeah, white collar jobs, I think where both genders are equally capable of doing all the tasks required, then you should be paid exactly the same. But if you're gonna say, if you're gonna expect a man to go and lift that equipment and move it from here to there, and then work on that specific task, but then the woman has to wait for a man to move that equipment from here to there so that she can work on the tasks, right?
And get paid the same.
Right? Why should she get paid the same? Because she can't move it. There's a portion of the work that she just can't do.
You also know that they can't discriminate on the gender when they post these jobs, and they have to find somebody that's best suited for the job. You can't have a department that's straight males because there's heavy lifting.
Right, but you hire...
There also has to be gender equality. Yeah, she might not have the same strength to move that piece of equipment, but you just can't have a department full of straight men.
Right, but I just don't think that is fair.
I get what you're saying, but you have to have, you know, some type of equality.
Right, so then say you have a department, but the titles that they occupy are different. So you could work in the same department, but the job title that the man has requires him to do X, Y, and Z, where the job title that the woman has only requires her to do X and Z, right? So then you can occupy the same space, work in the same department, but have a different function. My issue comes when you guys are working in the same department, have the same function and are expected to do the same tasks, but you're not doing the same tasks.
I get what you're saying,
You see what I'm
but
saying?
just, you can't show because that's basically discrimination.
No, it's not
With
discrimination.
not,
It's like
with not having women, saying that women can't do the same task.
I mean, I'm not saying that women can't do the same task, but you see it time and time again, and I'm pretty sure men will agree with me watching this episode that you see it.
Oh,
plenty of times.
they always agree with you.
No, but it's you see it yourself. It's like when the water jug has to get changed, who you calling?
I don't call anybody personally.
But
I get up.
What do you see?
I get
what do
up.
you see?
Other people call you to do it, or any other man in the
right,
office.
Right. There's
but
certain
listen
things
about me. I make sure.
Go ahead.
I make sure that I change that water jug. It's heavy as hell, but guess what? I'm doing it. I'm doing that by myself.
But, and that's the thing. I feel like women should do that. You know what I'm saying? They should do it. You don't always have to run and look for a man to do certain things for you.
Exactly.
Right? Especially if you're going to run around talking about gender equality and pay equality and all of that stuff.
And that's why women who advance in their careers, they're very much self-sufficient, and certain men can't handle that.
I can handle it. I'm like, you want to carry that? You go right on ahead. I ain't gonna bother you. I'm like, you got that?
Certain men can't handle that, especially when it comes to the money. They cannot handle it.
Sure, well, I can handle a woman making more money than me. I don't got an issue with that. Hell, my wife make more money than me, and more power to her. It don't make me feel any less of a man. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it all comes down to the career path that you took. Some careers are just gonna pay more than others. You know, your wife's a doctor. You're an IT professional, but you do regular help desk stuff. You know, you're gonna make a little bit less than your wife, but that doesn't make you a loser. You know what I'm saying? You have to find worth
in what you do,
in everything that you do. It's not just your financial status. It's not just your tax bracket that defines your worth as a man. You know, there's a lot more that you do, because your money ain't protecting your wife from an intruder. You know what I'm saying?
See,
your money's not holding her close.
Those are the things that we would like.
Right.
But then there is something in the mental of a man that says, no, I still need to do more. Like, you don't have to do all those things. Just treat me right, and we good.
Right.
Not saying that you're going to spend out, like, don't spend all my money. But I'm pretty sure, like, the men that she's dealing with have money for themselves.
Right.
Not as much as her.
Yeah.
But at least, they're self-sufficient as well. They're not mooching off of her. Because, there's also men with ulterior motives that want to mooch off the woman. And you see that sometimes. Like, they come in and they, like, I don't want to say Wendy Williams and her ex-husband. But, yeah, he basically mooched off of Wendy almost her entire career. Until it was, like, enough because he had a baby with a lady that outside the marriage. So, and there's men with ulterior motives that just want to stick around because you're the breadwinner and they don't have to do anything. So there's also men like that. But the decent men whose mental can't get over the fact that the woman makes more and she's more successful, there's other ways, like he's saying, that you could, make up for that. And not all women just want to deal with you because of the money.
Right.
They want to deal with you because you're you.
Especially if your woman already makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's clearly not with you because she wants you to take care of her. I mean, at least she doesn't want you to take care of her financially. She wants you to take care of her in other ways. She wants you to be her friend, her confidant, her lover, her protector. You can fill all those roles.
And you'll gain a lot of respect doing that, too.
Exactly.
Like, she'll respect the heck out of you if you do those things.
My thing is, if you're in a relationship and your wife makes more money than you, assess your situation, right? Are you doing everything that you can to maximize your talent, your skills? You know what I'm saying? If you are, then be confident in that. You know what I'm saying? If you're sitting at home doing nothing, and being broke, then you have to accept the fact that, your circumstances are a product of your choices. It's not your lady's fault. You know what I'm saying? And despite all of that, she still like you. she still want to deal with you. So instead of like treating her with resentment, try to better yourself. Try to do things to better your situation. Use that as motivation. If your lady can motivate you in that way, that's a good thing. You know, just never turn it around where it becomes toxic and you guys start fighting for no reason. Because you just end up turning away a good woman. Because ultimately, a lot of men complain that, you know, women are just with them for the money. They want to use them. They don't care about love and all that stuff, right? But you find yourself a woman who has money and doesn't care about how much money you make. She just want to be with you, and she just wants you to love her and take care of her. You know, what you complaining about? It seems to me like you in a sweet spot.
Why are we agreeing?
I don't know.
This is not how I wanted it to go. Like, we're agreeing way too much.
I mean, when it makes sense, it makes sense. You know?
I like to say I'm a logical person, and if I agree with something, I'll say, okay, yes, we agree. But I'm very staunch when I don't agree on anything, and then I try to get the last word. I do. Okay, so sticking to relationships, but it's going to take a turn, right? So, significant age gap between men and women in relationships. Why are young girls / women allowing themselves to be manipulated into being in relationships with much older men? So, in the recent weeks, we've seen Demi Lovato come out and say when she, I believe, was 15 or 17 years old, she was dealing with a 29-year-old man. And then Brandy came out in her memoir saying that when she was 16 years old, she was dating Wanye Morris from Boys to Men. He was 22 years old. That, you know, she's a teenager. At that time, he's a grown man. He knows. Same thing with Demi Lovato's situation. So the man that she allegedly was talking about was Wilmer Valderrama. You might know him from That 70s Show. And he used to host Yo Mama, right? On MTV. Remember that show? That was a good show, too. I used to run home every day to try to catch Yo Mama. It was Yo Mama and Pimp My Ride. But back on subject, right? So it's like, how do these girls, because me at 17 or 16 or even 15, I know that I'm not supposed to be dealing with anybody past the age of 17, actually. I'm not even going to go to 18. 17 years old, cut it off. So how, I don't know, maybe it's the words or the things that these men are telling them that persuades them into going into these relationships. I'm not sure, but it just boggles my mind, like how in your right, because you're not stupid, you're not young. At 15, 16, 17, you know that you're not supposed to be dealing with somebody in their 20s. At least wait until you're 18. So it just boggles my mind, like, how do you guys let it get to that point, right? How do you feel about this type of situation?
Well, first off, before I even get too deep into it, if you're a dude and you messing with like a little teenager and you're in your 20s, if you're in your 20s and definitely in your 30s, you disgusting, man. Like, what are you running around dating children? There's a lot of beautiful young women out there that will gladly date you. What you going around messing with young girls? You know, it's disgusting. It's not a good look. But you know what? You start to see more and more celebrities are guilty of that. When Jay-Z was with Beyonce, she was 17.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he waited.
No.
But they say that he allegedly, because I'm going to use alleged a lot, has a track record. Because they said when Foxy Brown was a teenager, he was messing around with her as well, allegedly.
A lot of these...
Aaliyah as well, I believe.
And then Aaliyah and R. Kelly was a thing
that's
too.
a big one.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very common in the celebrity circle to see like these famous men with these young women,
girls, yeah.
Right? But I'm not gonna put it on the men solely. You know, growing up, you see a lot of the girls in high school. They were trying to date older men because they felt
thought
that
it was cool.
They thought it was cool. They thought that older men were more mature. That was the thing. They was like, these young boys, they so immature, blah blah blah. I'm gonna get me an older man. You know, not knowing that the older man is just as immature as the younger dudes.
Because why would he be dealing with you?
As younger dudes in high school, they just able to hide it a little bit better. Or you assume that they're more mature, so what they're doing, you're seeing it as more mature, right? They pick you up in a car, you're like, oh shit. Because all the boys in your class is taking the bus with their freaking student Metro card.
They taking the train.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? So you're looking at them and you holding them in such high esteem because they're older. So you just assume that, they're so much more mature, and then I guess it makes you feel better about yourself as a woman because you like, he must think that I'm mature, and you feel that you're mature and you should be dealing with a more mature man anyway, right? So when you hear women like Demi Lovato and Keke Palmer on the podcast talking about, when I was 15, I was with this 30-year-old, this 29-year-old, right? And I didn't know I was getting taken advantage of. I was like, I don't know that you were getting taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying? It's like you just want to lay blame at the man's feet. I'm not automatically going to just assume that he was taking advantage of you. You could have been taking advantage of him.
I don't think they were taking advantage of him.
No, I said you could have been. If you're going after little girls, you clearly insecure. You probably don't have much luck with women
at that point in time.
You know what I'm saying? You batting your eyes, you giving him attention. He like, oh shit.
But they don't think, like you just said it. They think that they're mature. So them batting their eyes and doing all that stuff, I don't think they're manipulating him.
I don't think that the guys are manipulating the girls.
I think they are.
In some instances they can be. In some instances it's very predatory, but there's instances where
some type
the
of
girls, they know exactly what they're doing.
I get what you're saying, but there has to also be some type of manipulation to that as well.
I'm not going to say that.
I'm not absolving
in every
the young
situation,
women.
I'm not saying that. I'm
not
agree.
absolving the young women because, like I said, if you're 15, 16, 17, you're not supposed to be dealing with no 29-year-old.
Right.
You're not supposed to be dealing with no 22-year-old.
Right.
They're older than you.
But you're doing it.
You're not of age. They are.
Right.
Right? They do it anyway, but I'm not absolving them from any type of blame.
Let me ask you a question.
But there's also some type of manipulation coming from the men.
Let me ask you a question.
Because they know.
Let me ask you a question.
They know that they're little girls.
There's been a rash of stories over the past couple of years of female teachers dating their
and that's wrong too.
No, but are you so when you see the high school teacher dating her 16, 17-year-old student, is she taking advantage of him?
Yes.
Okay, how so?
Because this is this little boy, adolescent, teenager, he is not of age.
Well, I'll tell you.
And you're taking advantage of, because these boys boys and girls, right? At the time when you're teenagers, your hormones are raging, and these adults know that you're ready to pounce on anything that gives you any type of attention, right? And that's how they manipulate them into doing things with them.
I don't know about that, because my thing is laws of attraction. If somebody's giving you attention, it's your decision as to whether or not you're gonna accept that attention and be receptive to it, or you're gonna turn it away.
There's also persuasion is in every aspect of somebody's life.
I'll just tell you this. Me as a 16, 17-year-old boy, if I had a fine ass teacher and she was giving me attention, she'd take full advantage of me. All right.
Exactly.
But I'm allowing it. You know what I'm saying? And I would never.
And that's what I was saying.
I would never.
I
would never articulate it as her taking advantage of me either. I'd be like, I wanted that.
No, and she's an adult in the situation. She's taking advantage.
She's not.
Yes,
because
she is.
I wanted
she's the adult.
No.
Yeah, you wanted it.
No.
Yeah, you wanted it, but she also took advantage of it.
To me, taking advantage of a kid is like,
she took advantage of the fact that you wanted her. And that's what made her.
So in any situation, by that definition, by any situation where two adults get together or any two people get together, somebody's taking advantage of the other.
It's not the same.
Yes, it is.
Yes, no.
By your definition,
but it's not the same.
It is
because
the same.
This is an adult and that is a child.
The only difference is, the only thing that I would say is, I don't think that in every situation that the adult is taking advantage of the child, but I do think that adult is disgusting. Right? So I'm not condoning what they're doing, but I'm not going to also take away the decision making of a 16, 17-year-old kid.
And that's what I was saying.
Like, that doesn't make sense. No, you're not saying that. You're making them the victim and you're taking away their...
There's two sides. There's two sides. The adult is taking advantage of the child, but the child is also allowing the adult to take advantage of them. You just said that they wanted it. So therefore...
Or what do you say?
Therefore, they're taking... The adult The adults take advantage of the person and they're allowing it.
What do you say about like the teacher who was in a relationship for like 5-6 years, was treated like crap, and then you got this student that she finds attractive, and all he's doing all the time is giving her compliments, telling her how good she looks, how smart she is, uplifting her, and all of a sudden and kind of sparks that relationship, right? So he pursued her, or she pursued the male teacher. Is that taken advantage of? Because you'll have students, you'll have students coming on the teachers.
I know that.
Right. So how in that instance is the adult taking advantage of the kid?
That they're not taking advantage of the kid. Shut up. They're not taking advantage of the kid because that situation is different.
But that happens a lot.
It happens a lot. But is the teacher sleeping with the student?
In some cases they are.
If the teacher is sleeping with the student, that, I believe, is taking advantage. It is.
So if the kid pursues the teacher and they sleep together? The kid left an open door. He went through and he took advantage of the child that left the open door. To me, that doesn't sound like being taken advantage of. It seems like an adult making a terrible decision. And a kid making a decision that he wanted to make, right?
No.
Now, my thing is, if you're saying, I'll pass you if you sleep with me, now you're taking advantage. If you're saying, like, yeah, you did this, and I could tell your parents, but
and that's most of the time. That's what happens.
No, that's not most of the time what happens. Most of the time, look,
for a teacher, right, to let a student break them down like that emotionally to the point where they want to have a romantic relationship with them is sick.
Right. I'm not saying that it's not sick. What I'm saying is we're arguing.
And the teacher
who's taking advantage of who.
And the teacher should put a stop to it right then and there. I appreciate the compliments, but this is not the space for you to tell me.
And most teachers would do that.
They shut it down real quick.
But you have some weak-minded individuals who, when they get the type of attention that they want, they get weak. But back to the question, it's just growing up, you've seen a lot of young girls talking about they want mature older men. They don't have no time for men their own age, for boys their own age, right? They all want the older guy. So for me, well, not all of them, but a lot of them articulated that they wanted older men. So it's hard for me to believe that they're being taken advantage of. I feel like it's a conscious decision that they're making to be with the guy, right? But like I said, I would never condone that. The guys who do that are disgusting. I'm like, there's plenty of women.
Young girls know.
That are of legal age that you can go and date.
Young girls know. They know that sleeping with somebody who's 20, 21 is wrong.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is it wrong on their part or is it wrong on the adult?
It's wrong on both sides.
Why? Because if you're going to go sleep with a 17-year-old, if two 17-year-olds sleep together, then that's not wrong. But if a 17-year-old decides to sleep with a 30-year-old, I feel like the person who's at fault is the 30-year-old, not the 17-year-old, especially if the 17-year-old made the decision that they wanted to sleep with the person.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
The 30-year-old took advantage of the 17-year-old.
Right. You said that the kid knows that they are wrong. They're not doing anything wrong.
The kid is not doing anything wrong.
If you're going to pursue sex with people, right? If you're having, because what they say, the age in which most adolescents lose their virginity is 16. So you're having sex with other teenagers, but me as a boy, I go and I have sex with like a 25-year-old, right? And I'm 17. What am I doing wrong?
You're sleeping with somebody that's not...
No, the person who's at fault is the 25-year-old.
Yeah, but the 17-year-old knows that is wrong to do. Morally, it's wrong to do.
The 17-year-old knows that the 25 is wrong for doing it. He's not getting in any trouble. There's no law that he violated.
I understand that.
So what is he doing wrong?
I'm talking about morally, that is wrong.
I don't
know. You know that you're not supposed to be sleeping. You know how it's going to look. And then later on, people regret it.
It's not going to look bad on the 17-year-old. It's going to look bad on the 25-year-old. It's going to look bad on the 30-year-old. And you'd be like, why are you messing with a little kid?
I think it looks bad on both sides. My opinion. I don't know. My opinion, I mean, it looks bad on both sides because morally it's wrong.
I mean, I don't know. 17, I guess if I'm looking at it from my own children, yeah, I wouldn't want that. But I guess outside my family, when I look at it, I'll be honest. Whenever I see situations like that where you see like a hot ass teacher sleeping with like a kid, I always think in my head, I'm like, shit, where were these teachers when I was growing up? You see what I'm saying? It's like, so I gotta be honest. I can't.
And it's crazy how
bullshit.
those type of people always end up in like the education system.
Well, you see how these teachers. Of course, if what you like is people of the younger persuasion, then you're gonna put yourself.
Dating teachers.
I mean, they do that too, but you know,
they dating teachers and the students. I just
predators are gonna be where the prey are at. They're gonna be at schools. They're gonna be on Roblox. Like this. They be at parks and stuff like that. This is why parents have to be very involved. But sometimes you have fast ass kids.
But like I said,
that want to do what they want to do.
The adult is taking advantage of the child because that child, like you said, all they want to do is deal with older people. They know it's wrong. The both of them know it's wrong, but they're doing it anyway. But I think the adult is taking more advantage of the child.
I think the adult is wrong, and in a lot
it's taking advantage of them.
I'm going to say in a lot of instances, the adults do take advantage, but I don't think that it's blanket across the board that every time someone is getting taken advantage of. Sometimes it's two individuals that are consenting to it. It's not just because you're older that you're taking advantage of the person. Just because the child is consenting to it does not mean that the adult is not taking advantage. Because they still feel that this is a child and you're manipulating the child, even though the child wants to do it, to sleep with you, even though it is wrong. I don't think that if the child is consenting to it, that you're taking advantage of the child. I just don't see that.
I get what you're saying, but it's still taking advantage because you're still sleeping with a child.
Me personally, I think that not in every single situation that the adult is taking advantage of the kid, right? But that doesn't mean that the adult shouldn't be punished, which is why adults are punished, right? Because they shouldn't be doing it. But what we're arguing right now is who's taking advantage of who, right? Not if it's right or wrong to do. We're both in agreement that the adults should not be messing with children, right? So my only point of argument is that I don't believe in every situation that the adult is taking advantage of the child.
I said my piece. I said it. No, you know what I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm. Well,
ain't no way. You're an adult. You know what you're doing.
You're a 17-year-old kid. You know what you're doing.
You know what you're doing as well.
You know what you're doing.
But the adult has to take more blame and
nobody's
taking
saying,
advantage.
Nobody's saying they're not taking advantage. Nobody's not saying they're taking any more blame. Deal with you. You're taking advantage of the child because they want to deal with you and they see you as somebody they want to be with, knowing damn well you have no reason to be with them. I can believe, like I said, in every situation, it's not the same, right? I'm not saying that.
You ever heard of grooming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, but not every situation is grooming too. It could just be they have sex and then it's gone. Beyonce ended up marrying him.
I don't want to get into Beyonce. I don't want to get canceled.
Canceled?
Yes.
I mean, well, we just say we ain't speaking about anything that no one
hasn't. That no but yeah, but know. You never know. Cease and desist. they be coming through. So on that note. This is Random Conversations. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Noel.
And you can
like, subscribe, comment. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We appreciate all the interaction that you've been giving us on our reels and on our videos. We just really appreciate it. We hope that you guys continue to show us that love. And if there's any topics that you want us to discuss, just put it in the comments and we'll try to cover it. We appreciate you guys again.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.